Chapter 21. A man who was over in countries where they play foreign music in restaurants. Of course, the coach tour was her idea. Ove couldn't see the use of it. If they had to go anywhere, why not just take the sub? But Sonia insisted that coaches were romantic, and that sort of thing was incredibly important, Ove had learned. So that's how it ended up. Even though everyone in Spain seemed to think they were somehow exceptional because they went around yawning and drinking and playing foreign music in restaurants and going to bed in the middle of the day. Ove did his best not to like any of it, but Sonia got so worked up about it all that in the end it inevitably affected him too. She laughed so loudly when he held her that he felt it through his whole body. Not even Ove could avoid liking it. They stayed in the little hotel with a little pool and a little restaurant run by a man whose name, as Ove understood it, was Jose. It was spelled Jose, but it seemed people weren't too particular about pronunciation in Spain. Jose couldn't speak any Swedish, but he was very interested in speaking anyway. Sonia had a little book in which she looked things up, so she could say things like sunset and ham in Spanish. Ove felt it didn't stop being the butt end of a pig just because you said it another way, but he never mentioned this. On the other hand, he tried to point out to her that she shouldn't give money to the beggars in the street, as they'd only buy schnapps with it, but she kept doing it. They can do what they like with the money, she said. When Ove protested, she just smiled and took his big hands in hers and kissed them, explaining that when a person gives to another person, it's not just the receiver who's blessed, it's the giver. On the third day, she went to bed in the middle of the day because that was what people did in Spain, she said, and one should adopt the local customs of a place. Ove suspected it was not so much about customs as her own preferences, and this suited her very well as an excuse. She already slept 16 hours out of 24 since she got pregnant. Ove occupied himself by going for walks. He took the road leading past the hotel into the village. All the houses were made of stone, be noted. Many of them didn't appear to have thresholds under their front doors, and there were no decent window sills to be seen. Ove thought it slightly barbaric. One couldn't bloody build houses like this. He was on his way back to the hotel when he saw Jose leaning over a smoking brown car at the side of the road. Inside sat two children and a very old woman with a shawl round her head. She didn't seem to be feeling very well. Jose caught sight of Ove and waved at him in an agitated manner with something almost like panic in his eyes. Senor, he called out to Ove, the way he'd done every time he spoke to him since their arrival. Ove assumed it meant Ove in Spanish, but he hadn't checked Sonia's phrase book so carefully. Jose pointed at the car and gesticulated wildly at Ove again. Ove stuck his hands into his trouser pockets and stopped at a safe distance with a watchful look on his face. Hospital! Jose shouted again and pointed at the old man in the car. In fact, she didn't look in very good nick, Ove affirmed to himself. Jose pointed to the woman and pointed under the bonnet at the smoking engine, repeating despairingly, "Hospital! Hospital!" Ove cast his evaluating eye on the spectacle and finally drew the conclusion that this smoking, Spanish manufactured car must be known as a hospital. He leaned over the engine and peered down. It didn't look so complicated, he thought. Hospital, Jose said again, and nodded several times and looked quite worried.